This is Hot Drop, where we bring you premier PUBG analysis and protein-packed drops. I'm Jack John.
And I'm Creatine Cody. We stream Monday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/hotdrop_podcast. Discord link and hotline number are in the show notes. Hit these up to share your thoughts with us. Our topics today include an update from last week's Not Dev report. Additionally, a mobile update on 0.11, which will roll out on the 18th. PC stagnation, and care package on Apex and how the BR scene is being affected. Let's get into it. Station X. The patch is out there. Rolling into Station X for week 2 of our long-serving Station X segment.
It's been around forever.
Yeah. Remember when we were complaining and we keep getting this dumb as hell segment smack dab in the middle of our consoles?
Yes.
I'm not going to do it here this week. And I'm not going to do it only because they actually released something. And it's nothing, but it's still something. Mm-hmm. There is an update from Lumos of the dev team that says, this was from the 15th, mind you, so 2 days ago. Today, we wanted to provide an update on the Vikendi performance issues that many of you have been experiencing. Remember we were talking about Harry Potter flying cars and all that stuff?
Sure.
Yep. Well, they're not fixing it yet, but they sure as hell have a plan to fix it.
Great.
And it's going to come out on the 28th.
28th?
Yeah. So
these must be hard issues. I don't think they're focusing on anything else at this point. Like, there's no content that's coming out immediately.
They're dubbing it a hotfix too, which kind of blows my mind here.
Also very weird.
These are big issues. Right now, we know that people aren't playing this game because it's broken AF.
Yeah, they're avoiding the map for sure.
It's real bad. And they're saying it's a hotfix, but they're pushing it out almost a month. Mm-hmm. But it's coming, and they're going to talk about that LOD issue that we were talking about. They're going to talk about all of this stuff. And I wonder if part of that fix is going to be to lower the graphical load, essentially. Take away some textures, take away some things, make it a little more sparse. Kind of like what they do with mobile to make it run better. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't think that many of you listeners would complain about that because you just want to play the map. I know a lot of you are going and you're saying, I'm not going to play until they fix this thing. This looks like it's going to be the first step, but I don't know if it's enough at this point without some sort of major overhaul. They have to be working on something big, right? There's a lot of problems with this.
The thing that they dive into it a little bit, and they say, like, before the January 22nd update, players were able to at least see actual buildings in Play-Doh detail. Then textures would gradually load in until LOD 0 was achieved, right? Makes sense. Yep. You load in a rough version, then you constantly update it until everything's fully loaded. But after the January 22nd update, LOD 1 stopped loading until LOD 0 was achieved. When LOD 1 does not load, this skips the Play-Doh step, causing buildings to not load at all. So this is currently what's going on in Vikendi. And without that level of detail, the state of the building is either 0 or 100%. So you get the fully rendered, detailed buildings, but only after they fully load.
You know what that is? That is the equivalent of you're either first or you're last. That is the video game equivalent of you're either first or you're last. You either got buildings or you don't.
Yeah.
Like, of course, whoever said that? You could have grass, you could have cars, you could have fields. Like, nah, man, you either have buildings or you don't. Sorry.
Exactly. So yeah, that's a pretty intense update. I wonder what triggered that change, because that's a major thing to kind of play around with. I don't know. It's
a good question, because what if we have this notion of how they're building each map and they're not using anything from the previous map? Because why would they have this issue with Vikendi and not the other three?
Right. There are level of detail specific, like, instances happening on Vikendi that don't occur on the other maps somehow.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
Essentially saying, like, it doesn't say load building 1. It says, like, load very specific building name, right?
Right.
Instead of being able to kind of cross all platforms. That would be the easiest way to build a map. I mean, I know nothing about this, right? My game making experience stops at year 2 of college. So this is well above me. So I'm just this is all conjecture, but my intuition is unmatched, as we've already discussed.
Uh-huh.
And I say that this shouldn't be a problem, and they should fix it now and not wait until February 28th.
Yeah. Well, clearly this is a deeper problem with the map, considering how long it's going to take them to release a hotfix. I don't know what else is going on, but this is a major issue. At least there should be a fix, this month. However, it sucks that it's basically been it will have been more than a month to release a fix for this. And it's game breaking. It's fully horrible to play with, I'm sure. I also would like to say that I think the map making is not as easy as like map making that you might see. Yeah, because like old like TF2, CSGO, whatever, they're community made maps all throughout gaming history, and I think these maps are just way more complicated than just like a tool set that you might make to create a map.
That makes sense.
So listen, even though this is currently a very huge problem, I think that the map is still worth playing when the patch comes out. And like we all play different games from time to time, but this, like seriously, PUBG has been super fun to play through, especially on Vikendi. It's been such a cool map to learn and get back into the game with. So I really think it's worth sticking it out. Go back once this patch is out. Go back, play Vikendi, play it with your squads, play it on duos. It's a great map, well worth it once they get this issue fixed.
Yeah, and if you leave, I'll find you. And stuff. Okay, love you, say it back.
PCP?
Ladies and gentlemen, if you'll follow me, we are now entering the personal computer place.
So here we are. We're in the personal computer place.
Ooh, I like this place.
Yeah, well, it's fucking empty, John.
Where have my friends gone?
Where have all my friends gone? Ba-da-da-da-da. It's so lonely in this place. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. We haven't had anything in here for a bit now, right? Nothing substantial. No updates, no anything. It makes me sad that we go from Station X to PC and we don't have anything when we know that there's a game 3 clicks away that people are playing constantly.
Yeah.
I love PUBG. PUBG gives me a rush. It has set me up with this Discord, in this podcast, in this community. I now have an acquaintance named John that I met through my friend Dan and his friend Dan.
That is all accurate information.
Why don't we have stuff in here? What do you think that we haven't been getting these updates? We haven't been getting any development from this game in a while.
I mean, so to be perfectly fair, they just released a huge map, pushed out, a new platform, and are frantically trying to fix those versions. Whereas the PC version is in a fairly good spot. There are some kind of weird things that we've heard about, like the rate of fire bug relating to frame rate and specific guns, that kind of thing. But there's nothing that's horribly broken about our version. So
I would argue that our version is working better than it's worked in a very, very long time.
Yeah, no, I think it's working really well. Like, I was definitely having some performance issues, and it was all related to my CPU usage. Like, when I was streaming, playing the game, my frames were garbaggio. So I just had to switch the encoding, and suddenly the map was playing just fine for me. I know that's not the case for everyone, because I actually have a good CPU, and that is an indicator of like the problems with this map. There are loading issues because of the textures and the models and everything. Whatever they've done to build the map, there are some loading issues. However, as a whole, I feel like that map plays really well. It's really fun, as we've talked about. and the game itself is in a fairly good spot despite those loading issues. But it's a really weird problem that, like, I mean, we go through gaps of like no content. They just released a big bit of content and there's no update for the near future, which is really frustrating, especially when a great new BR title comes out and is just grabbing people, right?
And this
and like
specifically is the one that isn't on one end or the other of the spectrum, right? You have the Fortnite of the world that gets all the Gen Z people in there playing. It's the popular one. You have PUBG that kind of blew up the scene that is the battle sim. Apex coming out now is an in-between thing, right? It's arcadey, but at the same time it gives you that satisfaction of real world guns. Well, real enough world guns, you know. They're realistic feeling. And
they have some, they feel really good,
And now we have this in between where it's pulling in a whole new group. In my mind, that would be the time for me as Bluehole to say we need to put something out,
or at least announce something. Like, obviously, if you don't have the content ready, don't put it out. But announce something. Be prepared. Have this plan, because this thing came out of nowhere and has, like, everybody is trying it.
Yeah, I just
so,
I don't. It's not, again, until somebody comes out with a fully functioning like battle simulator like PUBG. This is not the end of PUBG, but for the sake of, I think what John and Dan and myself worry about most is that, like, you listeners are going to want to just play Apex all of a sudden and then, like, not play this game anymore and not sit here and hang out. And that's concerning because we can see the draw of it. Like, I really like Apex. I think it's a lot of fun. In fact, it's gotten me to even look at skins. I'm going to say that right here now. Put it on your calendars, people.
Put it on the next one.
When you listen to this, February 18th, you need to mark on your calendars, and it'll be there next year. Cody admits he likes skins. But I keep telling every time I play it, I go, that was a lot of fun. I really want to play this more. And then I just go, it's just not PUBG. It's just not PUBG. It doesn't give me that same feeling. The three-man squad thing it's neat, but something about a four-man squad really makes a game. It's a smaller map, so it's not as, the games don't last as long, but they're not as exciting either.
It was very adrenaline pumping at the beginning, and it still does, like, get the blood pumping a bit, but nothing compared to all of the PUBG wins.
Even the kills.
Yeah.
When you get a PUBG kill, that is the greatest feeling. And I'm married and have children.
Right.
Nobody's capturing that, but it's still pulling people away from the game. And they need to kind of sort things out here to get the ball rolling again, because this game is going to stay around for a very long time, but I don't want the numbers to fall into a weird, I can't play that because everyone's too good kind of thing. Because the meta doesn't work the same for this as it does for Counter-Strike Global Offensive or Apex or Fortnite, right? CSGO and this game, you can memorize the patterns of the gunfire, whereas this isn't necessarily like that. And so when you think about, like, all the little things about this game, people can't match that, but I don't want to lose people just because of no content, or it doesn't seem like there's an effort being made. Even Apex at this point said they're going to come out with a daily update, essentially, to say, like, hey, we're working on this. Hey, we're doing this. Hey, look out for this. And I'm like, where's that?
They need to be careful.
Where's that bi-weekly update?
Yeah.
January 22nd? Okay. Cool.
Yeah. It's really tough. I think everyone should try the game, because I'm just totally a fan of playing more than one game at a time. But, still, we are a PUBG-based community. We have our PUBG roots. We love that game type for very specific reasons. I think Apex hits ticks some of those boxes. Doesn't tick all of them.
Nah, like almost half, maybe.
I think it's super fun. It definitely feels very similar to me as, like, when I was playing Overwatch a decent amount. Like, that kind of, like, fun kind of, I want to win, but it's not really, like, I don't feel super, I guess,
let down,
like, driven. Yeah, exactly. So I'm not like over eager for it. I'm just like, because you like squad up with randos all the time. It's just like, it's very more like way more of a casual feeling when I'm playing that game versus PUBG.
Yeah. So stick to it, guys. We're going to be here. I know we're going to have another sort of Apex segment tonight, but don't think we're abandoning ship. We're just trying to fill content. I'm sure that this is going to get better.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem is the fact that we're trying to do a PUBG podcast and there's like nothing for us to talk about in terms of, you know, news or content, like real tangible stuff. Or
because it could be a bitch fest all day.
Sure.
But we don't want it to be that way. I know that you know, the dumb as hell segments are fun and all that, but that's why I'm not doing one today. We need to focus on the fact that this game is still awesome. This game is still around. We love you guys. Play this game as well. Don't get mad at people for playing Apex. Definitely get mad at everybody for playing Fortnite. Don't talk to those people. Excommunicate them from your lives. Definitely. And with that, mobile home?
Beep.
Beep, beep. We are snug as a bug in a rug inside of this mobile home.
Mm-hmm.
And I have some exciting news.
What is it?
There is stuff in here.
Oh, yeah.
We have a mobile tournament coming up next weekend. And here's the thing. I need every single one of you who have played, thought about playing, definitely play all the time, to get in. Follow the link in the Discord. It is a pinned message in the mobile looking to play group. Okay? Click it. Register for this because right now we have 9 teams registered. We shut it down on February 22nd, but the tournament is the 23rd at 3 p.m. Eastern. All right? Mm-hmm. It's a $40 squad, and a duo is $20. Get in there. This should be really, really cool, guys. This is the first time we have seen a big mobile tournament like this. We are going to stream it. Dan and I are going to commentate throughout the whole thing.
That's so good.
It's going to be pretty cool. We've been practicing. So, official Hot Drop Podcast Discord. Get in there. Register yourselves. 3 p.m. Eastern, the 23rd. They will announce room info at 3:05. You have 5 minutes to enter the room before the game to find your teammate, and the first game will begin. All right? The other games will be the same. Once the room is announced, you have 5 minutes to get into each room. Please, people, jump in. I'm really excited. The more people that we have in here, the funnier our commentary is going to be. Let me tell you, it's going to be pretty funny. I will sing my ass off for you. I just want you in there, so let's do this. And there's a mobile update.
More?
There is a mobile update.
Okay, so this is the content that we've been talking about that was previously in beta. The 0.11.0 update will roll out on the 18th.
Still blows my mind that it's not a 1.0.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. So they added the Zombie Survive Till Dawn, a new limited time event mode when players fight zombies and bosses from Resident Evil 2. They added the Moonlight Weather to Vikendi. They added player spaces, which is it's basically where player information connections are displayed. You can now select a friend with Synergy 400 or above as a partner to stand by your side in your space. Added Resident Evil 2 main menu theme and music, and Sinak is now available on Arcade Quick Match.
Nice.
We got some other improvements too. Just shadows can be disabled. Past results can now be kept for up to a month only. Fixed terrain display bugs for budget devices. And Tom posted a preview of the zombie mode in the hot clips. So if you're in the Discord, go check that out. See what it looks like.
Yes, please do. This game on mobile, for those of you who would play on console, play on PC, just try it out. I know that the Sofa King crew would love to just team up with some people who play on the consoles and PC side. It is a lot of fun. People can make all the excuses they want about playing games on their phone and how it hurts their hands and stuff, but it wouldn't kill you to hop in and play a match from time to time because they're a lot of fun and they're always on. There's always a member of the Sofa King crew on. So hop in, do your thing, and join the tournament, which is February 23rd at 3 p.m. Go into the pinned message in Looking to Play Mobile. Boom.
Yeah. There was something I wanted to bring up. I think it was the week that I was gone, and I didn't get a chance to talk about it. There was a post on Reddit talking about triggers for mobile devices. They're basically like accessories that you can clip onto your phone that then you can use your fingers as triggers rather than like pressing a button on screen or that kind of thing. Yeah. So people were kind of likening it to using a mouse and keyboard or extra accessories. Like they were kind of talking about it as being, cheating in a way, right?
Okay.
The person's post was saying that it's not cheating, and in fact, all the pro players basically play claw mode, where your index fingers are on the screen doing things while your thumbs are also doing things. Because that's just the more optimal way to play it. It cramps your hand initially, but you get used to it. So yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting that there is this semi-backlash against these trigger additives. But it's
aspartame in your mobile game.
Exactly. It's mostly against casual players who don't want to like learn this claw method, and it's not actually very helpful. So I was curious from the Discord side of things to see if anyone played with these or has used them, whether you think it's cheating, whether you think it's an advantage. Based on my limited knowledge of the mobile platform, I don't think it's actually that helpful to have these buttons to like make you click things. The other interesting thing about the post is it was trying to talk about the differences between mobile gaming culture between like China versus the US. And this was something that the person proposed, that this was super popular in Asia to like have these attachments to your phone to basically create a game console in your hand rather than, actually playing on console, because growing up, people were too poor to afford consoles. They weren't exported there or imported there or whatever, that kind of thing.
That's so while you were talking about it, I was thinking about like the fairness of a console, right? Like the fairness of a console is you buy an Xbox or a PlayStation, your controller is what you use. Everybody has the same controller.
That's not exactly true, but in general, yes.
In general, it is pretty damn close to the same
controller system. Yeah, exactly.
Mouse and keyboard. Well, you can have very many different mice and keyboards.
Or you can use a controller.
You can use a controller. They're generally across the board have the same function.
Right.
Phones aren't the same as
different
tablets.
Sizes, yeah.
Like you have different size screens, you have different processing powers, you have different things like that. And so that is the first thing that triggers in my mind about the availability of attachments and things like that onto it. Because if I'm playing on an iPad and you're playing on a Note and somebody else is playing on an iPhone 8, all of those are a lot different to play.
They're very different.
So let us know what you think in show feedback, because I'd like to talk about this again, using feedback as reference so we can be a little bit better prepared
and informed. So I kind of am thinking about it in the same way that like PCs are different. Like your PC, it doesn't have the same components as my PC, therefore you don't get as much FPS. And while that's not the only factor determining a fight, it is, an advantage that one might have if they have more FPS in the monitor to display it, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of an interesting thing. Personally, just based on my knowledge of Asian culture and gaming, it's not just these triggers that dissuade US players from playing mobile games. It's more of a cultural thing. Like we grew up with consoles and not so much phones. We don't have a huge gaming phone culture. And I think that's just way more common in Asia. And I don't think it's because of the acceptance of these triggers that is the cause, which was kind of this person's point. They were also promoting their Twitch channel or something like that and liked using the triggers. So it was a little bit biased of a post, but I thought it was kind of interesting.
For sure. Food for thought, I guess.
Yeah.
Well.
So that's a little extra.
Yeah, let's jump onto our care package and see what we got in there.
Care package inbound.
Care package inbound! Won't someone think of the care package?
Care package on the way.
So, before any of you kill us, specifically Play and Bedford, we are going to talk about Apex again.
Yeah.
No, we are not an Apex podcast. Yes, we are a PUBG podcast. But we think that this game is affecting the PUBG community, and so we still wanted to kind of have content in the show. We wanted to explore this game since we've also been playing a bunch of it too, and kind of talk about what's good about it, what's bad about it, and how it's affecting the BR scene.
Sure.
And so I think first, if we wanted to talk about how we think it's affecting the Battle Royale scene, I think that the fact that this game...
That's a great point.
Has pulled so many people from the top two monoliths that are BR. It's clearly doing something right.
Yeah.
Fortnite lost a good chunk of its players before this came out because they were adding too many weird things, right? Planes and stuff like that. And PUBG lost a lot of people before this game because of bad content or no content.
Right.
I think in the overall scheme of it, it's just a blip on the radar. But I do think that this game has some legs, and I think that this game is going to be in the same conversation as the other two for a good amount of time here until somebody comes out with a new full realistic sim.
Yeah,
I think Apex has kind of put itself into that pedestal in the winner's circle.
Yeah, I think there are still plenty of people who prefer PUBG to Apex. It's a different style. It's more arcadey. I think it definitely pulls more from Fortnite than from PUBG.
Yeah.
I think it's still really fun to play, and it doesn't feel as childish or kind of shitty when you're playing it as Fortnite did. But yeah, it's definitely got... I think we can talk about it in the sense of our Discord just initially to give that as like a sample size of the larger PUBG community, right?
Yeah.
Because we're a PUBG podcast, we have a PUBG community, and yet people are hitting up the Apex Legends room to try and find people to play with. It's not quite as frantic this weekend as last weekend. And I think people have kind of like found people to play with. And that's mostly why I don't think it's on the downswing yet. Yeah. But it's kind of blown up for our Discord. Tons of people playing it. I think there are a lot of potential opportunities moving forward. The ability to release heroes, or they're called legends. The ability to release legends for people to try and play gives a whole other dimension to additional content that isn't just like maps and guns.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah. I was actually watching I think it was Lunar Gaming or somebody came out with a video this weekend talking about the data mining, and they had found two new characters. One was called Watson, WATT, and so it has something to do with electricity, and then another one that has something to do with fire that I can't remember, like Inferno or something like that. And so like we know that there are going to be new legends coming out, and I think that that's a cool way, even if they're just not really expanding the full lineup, but giving some like premium features or limited time legends to play with. I think that I just think that's a really cool opportunity to explore some new things without getting the game too watered down.
Yeah, actually, that's a good idea. When you first said that, I was like, oh, I'm against limited time stuff. But actually, that would be pretty cool to kind of like beta test some heroes and see how the balance plays out without committing to a full-time legend coming in. Because I think you could... It feels very balanced right now. Like, there's a lot of abilities that can happen that are kind of... You have to get used to. But for right now, it doesn't seem too insane.
I think the comment about balancing is really key. I think the game overall has found a really good way to balance the usefulness of all weapons and abilities. And while it seems super confusing to somebody like me who's never played a game like this with Legends, or like I played Smite a little bit when that first was a thing, and I didn't quite get, first of all, the tower defense.
Was that a MOBA?
Yeah, I didn't understand that for one, but each god had, their ult and stuff.
Right.
But then when jumping into this, it just felt like a whole new beast, but I think that now that I get it, It's much, much easier to figure out that nobody's super OP. You see people getting good at specific things, like I play as Lifeline, but I also played as Wraith a couple of times today, and like all of them felt like nobody felt more powerful than another.
Yeah, I think I think the way it works is there are opportunities for people to use their abilities, and some heroes, legends, sorry, I keep calling them heroes because it is associated with Overwatch in my head. Some legends just have more opportunities to use their abilities. Lifeline is pretty like invaluable to a team. It's not that you need it to win, but it's always a good idea to have a lifeline, right?
I agree.
So like just throwing your heals out pretty much anytime anyone is injured, getting those ultimate accelerants to pop these care packages that doesn't give you like a huge loot advantage, but it is like a new piece of body armor. You do that 3 times and most of your teammates have like blue or better body armor, which is great.
And I think being able to do that and giving it a uniqueness to the game is one of those reasons it's pulling people from other games, right? It gives you an opportunity to create more of a persona for yourself while you're playing.
Yeah.
Whereas PUBG, roles are almost non-existent.
Right.
And I would assume the same thing with Fortnite, since there's nothing like that. But with this, it gives you each individually a purpose to carry your team. And other than just building chemistry with a skill. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can more identify with like a legend in order to better your team. I love that, and like that's part of like the almost RPG element coming out, and I think partially why it has some draw from not just the BR scene.
Right.
But yeah, so like Gibraltar throws down his shield, which is very helpful. That's his ult, I think. Yeah. I think his Q is the like personal shield or whatever. You can find tons of ways to use that. There are plenty of synergies, like using smoke from Bangalore and then using Bloodhound's Z to like see through it, or like popping a Q, Bloodhound's Q, which is like locates the enemy team if they're near enough by, just like a snapshot of where they are. So you could like pop smoke, run a Bloodhound in there and pop a Q to see where people are to get a better sense of them. So like there's a bunch of really cool things that once you learn your character and kind of the meta surrounding them, you can use it on a regular basis.
Right. Additionally, I think that the looting ability for this game is much faster, which keeps people engaged a little bit better. It's not about loot management at all. Once you figure out, so like maybe the first 10 games or so when I was trying to figure out how it loots, I was managing my loot, but now I've played, I think, 75 games, which really isn't saying, like, that's not really a lot of time because you can get in and out of these so fast. I know exactly what I'm looking for and what I'm not looking for, and I will drop things accordingly, or I just won't pick up things that I know I could find. If there's a power cell that has 4, one of the taller ones, or a Phoenix kit, I'm just going to pick up one of those instead of picking up 4 little power cells. Because I know later on it's not going to matter. I'm going to want to drop those. You know that you can see the tiered loot, so you know kind of what's coming up. And you don't have to loot as stringently as you would otherwise in PUBG.
Right.
I don't at all advocate for PUBG to change the way that they actually have their loot system or their management system, because that is kind of what makes that alluring to me.
Sure.
But seeing as though this is a breath of fresh air for me, it's nice to be able to jump in and kind of not have to worry about the things that I relate to PUBG as key game characteristics.
Right. Yeah, it's a difference in your head between the two games, which is nice.
Yep. So, maybe we should just go into a couple of little tidbits of advice that we have for this game.
Yeah, you brought up Wraith, so I want to just talk about, because I played her initially. She was the first legend that I picked.
The first love.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, oh man, this character is really cool, because her abilities are, her normal ability is she can go invisible. It goes into a different dimension, can't be injured or seen, kind of. But and then you move faster, so it's basically you can use it as an escape or like a flanking thing, basically to try and confuse the opponent. Her ultimate is a portal, which you place one end and then you run to a different location and can place the second portal so that you connect those two places. And anyone can go in between them. It's not an instant thing. You travel just along the same path that you would have run, and it's just like you do it much faster. It can be really, really useful. However, I feel like it's very hard to set up. There might be some meta later on as to like, oh, when the circle is nearing this area, this is a pretty good portal spot. You can link these two like cliff sides together so you can swap between the cliffs and get a better peak advantage against your opponents or something like that.
I also thought that it would be a really good way to jump inside of Gibraltar's shield in an endgame circle.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if that's possible, but I thought about that today when I was playing. Is like if you see him launch his shield and you know that he's in the front end of that thing, just set your thing up so you can come in behind him.
Yeah, I think the inherent disadvantage with her ability is being like tied to her movement. So anytime an enemy sees you, and you can't shoot when you have the portal out, so you're just basically running dead wherever you are. You have to still be like in cover and like trying to hide or whatever. You can use her Q while you're running, but it doesn't last the same amount of time, so you have to use it, tactically. And then you also can't use zip lines or ropes or balloons or whatever while you have your shield out. So that was like one of the first things I tried. I was like, oh, I'm going to take the zip line and just put it really, really far away. But I think that her Q is actually pretty not useless, but it's not as good as I thought it originally was, because like I was thinking like you go invisible and like you can't be hurt by anyone. You can't see where people are, so it's not completely broken, but you can totally escape a fight and reposition, heal, that kind of thing, get behind the team, do a good flank. Turns out you can just see the trailing steps of where they lead and people can just follow you.
Yep.
So the frustrating thing is you do get an increased amount of speed. I'm not sure if it's more than just unarmed running, but it's not the time is not enough between that and the amount of time in there and the burst of speed isn't enough to let you escape a close to medium range fight. So there's almost no use in doing it unless it's like an instant response trying to just like get away. Basically, the only time I've been able to use it well against opponents who like know what to look for is jumping off of a building and like trying to go in through a doorway. And it basically only gives me like a second or a half of a second if they were chasing me. Anything out in the open, it's totally useless. I tried to like run away from a close range shotgun fight. The guy just followed behind me, and then as soon as I went uninvisible, he just blasted me in the back. Like it's not hard to follow these people. We've done it against opponents too. Like towards the end of a game, somebody like disappeared, tried to like go around the corner. I'm like, they're over here.
Because that makes sense that you know where they would retreat to if they're trying to flank you, if they're trying to get away. So if in the end game, if they're going invisible, you know where they're going anyway. You know that they're not going to come right to you.
But there's no juke potential. Like if they were completely invisible, then there would be like this mind game of like, did I put the poison in your cup or did I put the poison in my cup type of
inconceivable
thing. Exactly. But because you can just trace the steps, like if you just look at where they're going, you're like, oh, they left a trail, so I get to follow them. Right. And it's not useful at all.
Yeah.
So that was my initial character. Now I'm playing more Bloodhound and Bangalore.
I'm just sticking with Lifeline. I like Lifeline.
Dude, Lifeline is super good. Big fan of Lifeline, throwing out those heals, dropping those care packages. I think it's incredibly
when we were playing
useful.
with Jack. And he's
gosh,
like, give me heals, give me heals. I was like, I don't have heals, bro.
Yeah, Cody was checking his inventory. He's like, oh, I don't have any syringes or med kits or shield cells. Yeah, sorry, man. And he was like, no, you have
you're
heals.
Lifeline. You are Lifeline. So
and Cody's response was, "Oh, I call that Q."
My beat.
It was really funny. Yeah. So anyway, those are my just thoughts on Wraith.
Yeah. So advice for people playing this game. There are a lot of videos and stuff out there that you can find. Obviously, everyone's hopping on this bandwagon, so call us bandwagoners for now, I guess.
Everyone's got their Twitch name in there as their label. They're like,
Lord
come
Beardface TTV.
Yeah, exactly.
But put your guns away when running. It does make a difference, a noticeable difference, and chances are you're not going to get caught out as much as you would think so in PUBG. Putting your guns away in PUBG always seems like it's more of a risk than it does in this game. So don't be afraid to put your guns away when you're trying to run to the circle.
Yeah, the circle moves. I don't know if I would. It moves less than in PUBG because it's still like a fair amount of phases, but it doesn't go nearly as deep, and the map isn't nearly as big. So you don't have to run too far, and sometimes and there's usually decent cover. So
there's
not
a lot
usually
of cover. There's not many open spaces.
Yeah. There is even with that, there are like elevation changes, which makes it interesting. So there's a lot of times when you're like, oh, I'm in cover, but somebody's just at a higher elevation and can see you. But for parachuting, there's like a wave optimization. You can go look up videos to get specifics, but basically you want to drop to about 145. Your speed will be on the bar on the left. So once you hit about 145, you should even out to 125. Whatever, would let your speed hit 125 and then drop down to 145 again and keep repeating.
And in order to get key optimization for this, you need to be within 800 or 900 meters from where you're trying to land. Don't bother doing this if you're landing closer. Further is fine, but closer won't get you where you need to go. If you're shorter than that, try just going a straight line because it's not going to help as much as you think.
Yeah, or you can try like a bigger wave, like dropping harder and then evening out for just like a little bit of a time and then dropping hard again. I'm not sure what is optimal, but you can play around with it.
Yeah. Make sure you're using your abilities too, because your abilities, the first few matches we played, I don't think any of us were really trying to use them strategically. We're just kind of testing them out. Now I always keep in mind where my Q is. What level it's at? How fast can I reuse this thing? Because you need them. You need them early and often. Lifeline, use that accelerator as much as possible because that big care package, the ultimate care package, is so key. You will almost always get a purple tier something, and quite often you'll get a gold tier something.
Yeah.
So. Yeah,
it's pretty good. If you don't have a gun and somebody has just dropped next to you, try punching him. It's actually pretty strong. I think you can kill someone with no armor in like 2 punches. Sometimes you can even kill people with weapons. They have to slow down to shoot you anyway, and they're slower when holding a gun, so you might be able to do it.
Early game, don't
especially strong. Yeah, exactly. Early game, and especially strong if like 2 or 3 people drop onto one person with a gun. It's just like 2 of you hit, then they're down, basically.
Yeah, so it gives you a 30 hit point every single time, no matter what. So 4 total punches will knock somebody or take them out. But if you have 3 people, you're going to overpower them every time. Fun fact, you can also you can slide using C, you slide down hills, and you can uppercut with a punch right when you get to them.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, super cool. So right out of your punch, you can do that. If you jump, you like power kick, and you can also use your melee to bust down doors. So
cool.
You can kick them open, and a second kick will break the door. Yeah, so it's pretty cool.
Learning things on you.
Additionally,
sliding
is like the coolest thing. If you were at a decline in any way, you can use that slide pretty effectively, and it keeps the momentum. So if you jump out of your slide, you will get air, and then when you hit the ground again, you can go back into your slide.
Yeah, and you can also use this to like. I can't tell if it's actually a burst of speed, but you can actually hit edges of things and slide off those. So like you can jump off of like hit a rail on a on a balcony or something and slide off of that. I don't think that gives you much speed, but if you're going downhill and you do it, then you can definitely get like a burst of speed. Yep. So there's really cool movement tech doing that. Slide, if it's a steep incline for sure, you get way faster than people running down the hill. You can just slide right in.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it's very, very useful for the game. You can also shoot and med and use an accelerator when you're sliding. So don't be afraid to try those things. If you can think of it in this game, chances are you can do it.
Yeah, you can open doors, you can walk around while using meds. Like, the only thing you can't do while medding is, like, shooting. You walk slower, but you can still, like, you know, make your way to an area.
Right.
It's pretty good to know.
Yep.
The balloon is an interesting mechanic. These are stationed at pretty much every named and tiny settlement. If you look straight up and you hold forward for PC, normally W, if you use the free look camera to look straight down, then when you are just a little bit above obstacles, it will actually boost you up. So you can use this to kind of launch across the map. It's not like a huge boost, but you can chain it again on like trees and houses and things like that. And it'll kind of like keep floating you up, and floating you up. So you can get a pretty far distance pretty quickly. It's pretty fun to do. I like it. It's fun.
Like it a lot, actually. Not enough people are using the balloons, I've noticed. And I think they're one of the most fun aspects of the game.
I think it's cool that it's also kind of balanced in the fact that it makes a noise and like there's the smoke trail, so you can actually see people coming down in balloons. So it is like a risk reward type of thing. Like, yeah, you get to the circle real quick, but
people know where you are. Yeah.
Half the map might have seen you.
Yeah. You can land on the drop ships and loot on their way to its stationary location. So every time you drop into a map, I think there's two when you first are in the plane.
The blue location is where the dropship will end up, and the like white and red moving one is the dropship.
Yeah, and so what you will end up doing, you can land on this dropship and loot it, and there's always a pretty good fight on it, but it's got some really good loot on top of it. And you can either ride that to its stationary point, or you can jump back off and rejoin the fight if you jump off the right part of the ship. And so if you jump off the back end, it'll give you your boost back. If not, you'll just fall to the ground.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. We have dropped on it a couple of times where no one was on there. We have dropped with people. Usually if it's too much of a fight, people will just jump down and start looting somewhere else, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yep.
So I turned off, I don't know if you've messed with your settings at all, but the damage numbers that pop up when you hit people.
Right.
Just bother me so much. I don't know what it was. They felt like too big and too chunky and very Fortnite-y, and I was like, I'm done with this. I don't want to know that I'm doing 20 damage. People told me to switch it to stacking. It was on stacking. I didn't care. I just wanted those numbers gone. So I turned them off, and I feel way better about my field of view with it.
So what does it do to indicate that you've broken it at that point? Does it still have colors of some kind or no? Because the colors would tell you if it was broken. Like red is a broken anything.
Right.
White is, whatever white is, but blue tells you that they still have the blue or purple armor
So
on.
you can see colored sparks when you shoot them.
Okay.
So it's kind of hard from far away, but it's also a sound. There's a sound indicator. When you shoot at somebody that has a shield, it's like more of a ting noise versus like a spongy, like, or whatever.
Can we just go over those sound effects one more time?
Yeah, it's like a ting when you hit a shield, and then it's like a if it hits the flesh.
So again, everyone, if you hear a ting, you know that you're hitting a shield. And if you hear a then you know that you're hitting flesh.
Soft, squishy flesh. So yeah, it's all basically auditory. Use headphones, and you can tell what things people have. And then I think, I'm not positive about this, I can usually tell when I'm hitting a head versus the body, and I think there's a different head helmet noise versus the body shield.
So it's more of a watermelon swishing sound.
All right, Gallagher. Yeah, it's so I don't like the numbers. I thought they were distracting. I think they're too big and too chunky. A lot of the icons actually in the game distract me. I've had issues where teammates are down, which I think I brought up last episode, but teammates are down and their icons are blocking my view to like somebody's face that I'm trying to shoot. It's really hard sometimes when there are teammates in a close range fight and you're trying to shoot from like semi-medium range.
Right.
But
all right. My next tip is that when somebody dies, you'll pick up their banner to bring them back into the game. What I found out today is that you don't have to be the one who's picked up their banner to revive them. So if, say, they're one team member down, I go over and grab the banner, but John is next to the revive point. John can just revive whoever was downed or killed. So I thought that was cool, and I didn't know that.
Yeah, and just keep in mind, like, there are timers on everything. There's not a timer on the after you pick up the banner, but if your teammate gets downed, obviously you have a timer until they bleed out. And if they are dead from that, you have a timer until their banner expires. So you have to get to them within like a minute or so.
I think one of them is 80 seconds.
That sounds right. And then after that, you can take their banner to any revive station. I was playing with Jack and his buddy, and we were in the end circle, just 2 squads left. And we saw a Wraith go invisible and go into the artillery area. They had picked up their friend's banner from somebody that we had killed earlier and revived them. And then they were trying to loot up the final circle, trying to find like any weapon to make it not a 1v3.
Jeez.
So yeah, you can do tricky strats like that, like get in, get their banner, try and bring them back at least for like a bullet soak, I guess. Pretty good. Pretty good. Soak. Yeah.
And I was going to say last but not least,
do them.
Throw all of your throwables.
Yeah.
All of them, all the time. All of them are worth it. All of them are great for one reason or another. I think the arc stars are the hardest to use effectively because if somebody moves away from them, so they destroy shields pretty fast, but they stick to anything. And so if you miss and you hit the wrong thing, those people aren't really going to be affected. Grenades obviously do impact damage, and the thermite grenades are pretty cool. But the arc stars are something that you need to be able to hit people with more often than not. Where the other ones, horseshoes and hand grenades, as the saying goes.
Yeah, I've tried to lay some arc star traps that haven't yet panned out as far as I can tell. But also it's hard to know, when you've affected an enemy like that, because it's like that remote thing with a grenade. If they're on it, you will know because they'll die, right? But the arc star, it's a little bit harder to tell, but they're super fun. The thermite, really good for just like zoning. You can zone out an area. You can drop it on like in between somebody and their down teammate, and discourage them.
It's a short wall. I would say like it's an 8-foot wall. But, like, you're not going to want to run through that. Yeah.
I'm also not sure of the damage from it, but it seems pretty strong.
Yeah.
So I haven't dared to run through or try and jump over it or whatever. Also, using them indoors, super effective. So any other, like, specifics about the game that you want to talk about? I think, I mean, it's super fun. I think I could talk about it forever.
I could talk about it for a very long time. There's a lot of stuff to dig into. And if you guys want, we can add in Apex sections into this. We want to focus on PUBG, but we also want to be able to give this some airtime if it's something that you're playing and you're interested in. So just let us know. If you hate this, also let us know. Like, we don't want to...
Don't be mean.
Yeah, we don't want to turn people away, so just be like, hey, that was dumb.
Bedford, don't be mean.
But let us know, because it is a very fun game. PUBG's not going away for us, but...
Yeah, but clearly if we want to talk about it, there are other people who want to talk about it and want to hear about it, right? Like, we're just a sample size of our sample size, so there's... it's got something. Yeah, you talked about briefly that the game got you into skins. Have you found any that you particularly like, or are you just kind of enthralled by the packs and stuff?
These are the people that did it well. This game gives you the option to unpack skins. I don't have to spend any money. I get this stuff just because I get XP, right? And it's enough where I will unlock a pack. I will get 3 things. Of those 3 things... It's not just clothes I can wear. It is weapon skins. It is clothing skins. It is voice clips. It is animations. It is a lot of stuff. So when you're just kind of waiting for things to go, you can ready up and go into it, and it doesn't stop you from just kind of clicking through things.
Yeah.
which is why I kind of went through it. You can also update your badge. And so when you're launching the game, it shows you your squad and whatever statistics you want, along with badges for specific achievements.
Right.
And so I get to choose what achievements I want people to see. I get to choose what statistics I want people to see, whether it's headshot count, how many times I've rezzed people, how much distance I've traveled, whatever. I can list that however I see fit. And so there's a lot of customization to it. And I think that that is a thing that I want PUBG to have, because we put so many hours into it. Imagine the kinds of things that we could do if they had kill feeds like that, where when you were eliminated, you got to see the squad that killed you.
Yeah.
And see what their statistics are, and you go, "Oh man, that's a good player." Like, "Oh man, I got wrecked by a guy who's literally never played this game before."
Like, yeah, like what if there were like dog tags on every loot box?
Oh my god!
You have to loot them. They don't take up any space or anything. They basically are invisible after you pick them up. But at the end of the game, you can like scroll through the dog tags and see like people's stats and see how many people they killed that round. Like, you know, cool stuff like that, I think would be a super sick addition to PUBG.
I would love that. This just did skins right. It just did things well when it's not just skins. I don't know how to categorize this, but
well, it's a well-polished, like, full release game. That's the thing that they did right, is it's not early access, right? There's still additional content that can come out, and there are still definitely bugs, but this isn't a game that's like saying, "Oh, we're early access, give us a chance." It's like, no, we released this game. It's free to play.
Here's a game. Play it.
Fun. Yeah. But the skins are very similar to how they do it in Overwatch. I will say that the player legendary skins aren't as great as like the legendary gun skins that I've seen.
I agree.
Like, I'm comparing it to Overwatch, which I know you don't really have experience playing, but basically a legendary player skin in Overwatch would completely change the model. Like, their outfit would be entirely different. It would be like some theme of something or whatever. And it just made it super interesting and made you want to get these skins. I saw one, I think it was a Gibraltar skin, and it was basically just some additional makeup and a coloring change to his armor set.
And that's what I found most of them to be.
Yeah, no other difference than that. And that to me is less appealing. Like, the gun skins, legendary ones, seem more...
They're cool. Like, the gun skins are cool. They add things. Like, I have dragon wings on mine.
Yeah, so it adds like a little bit of flair to it, which they should have been able to do more so for the character legendary skins, I think.
Yeah, I agree. But I'm digging it, and you know they're going to come out with more cool things, and they're going to have some affiliations in there sometime, but I don't feel like I have to buy them. You know, like, I feel like every once in a while I'll get a legendary something, and I'm like, that's worth it, whereas I never got anything high tier in PUBG, so everybody essentially ends up wearing the same stuff. Yeah,
the way the packs work is like, up until level 20, I think you get a pack every level, and then after level 20, I think it depends, but I'm going to guess it's like every other level, or maybe it goes up to every 5 levels eventually, but you get packs the more you play, right? So you don't have to unbox, or you don't have to pay for these boxes. However, just like having access to some of them makes you want more. So like, it's a very interesting incentive, like, because they're giving you this like taste of skins. So you're like, oh, I want to customize it in this way. Is this available? And then you see it and you're like, oh, I want to get that. Like, how do I just get this? Right.
Yep.
So it's kind of an interesting thing. Like, they're giving you everything possibly for free, but it really inspires you to customize your character in a way that you want, so you don't want to wait for those loot packs.
Right. I think their next tier here should be like full customization of the character minus like their face and body type. Like that hairstyle, hair color, things like that.
That would be a new one for like shooter stuff.
I think that'd be cool.
That's a very MMO or like, you know, Skyrim, that type of thing, those types of game way to do it, but that would be very interesting to see for sure in a shooter.
Because I do feel a little bit confused sometimes when we run into enemies, because we have that disappearing friendly names. Like friendly fire, if it were a possibility, I would shoot you quite often, because sometimes your name disappears. And I know that there could be another bloodhound next to us.
Yeah.
And so I just shoot you and go, oh shit, my bad.
Yeah, so to describe how this is happening, basically when you ADS, in attempt to not block your field of view, it doesn't show player names. However, this does lead to some confusion. Dan and Cody were over looting some area, and they were in a fight with a guy. And I saw Cody on a balcony shooting down at what looked like Dan. And I was like, oh, shoot, an enemy. And I started just like plugging
Blasting
Cody with bullets. Just so many, bullet after bullet. I was like, wow, not dying, not taking any damage. This is super weird. I don't know what's happening. And I just kept reloading and like firing into Cody. And I kept like pinging him for Dan. And meanwhile, Dan is like in a fight for his life or whatever. And Cody's like, who is shooting me?
Like,
and
what the hell?
Finally, like, Cody kills the enemy and I am on the ground. I'm like, no, there's still one up. He's like, no, they're all dead. And I'm like, I'm shooting at you, Cody. You're the enemy. It's funny because this kind of contradicts my earlier point about things blocking the player view, but it does. Like, the icons are the biggest problem. I haven't had problems with like the player names except for them because they disappear basically.
Right. And there can be a lot of that. So
yeah, even up close, like you were standing next to me and your name tag disappeared because I ADS, and it freaked me out for a second. I was like, oh shit, an enemy lifeline is intercepting us. So yeah, it's something to get used to. I don't know. A map awareness, I guess, is the best way to combat that. Although I think you're outside the minimap area that I could see.
Right. All right. And the final point?
The thirst. How often do you get downed and then murdered immediately?
Quite often. And it is super annoying.
I even see people murder when they will obviously die right after.
Yep. So you will be in a firefight, of 2 teams, 9 people.
Yeah.
And I will get downed, and no matter how much bullet fire is just torching this place, they will do their special finisher on me. Yeah. Knowing very well that they're going to die because they just want to kill the downed person.
Yeah, they want those kills to pad their stats, to get those finisher counts up on their player cards so that they can have that number to show off, all that stuff. Yeah, as we talked about, there's a lot of people with like Twitch names, so like trying to get streamers. So I honestly think they're just trying to go super hard all the time. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, but stop being thirsty. Just think of it like PUBG. Use it strategically.
Totally. There's an absolute strategic time to do this. And, it's not always immediately, but like if you're like repositioning or like reviving a buddy and they can use that against you, like they could be like, oh, they're reviving, push them now. That's obviously information that you don't want the enemy to have. Sure. Finish them off.
Yep. But
like, I think there's so much just like, I want this kill type of bloodthirst.
It's Jack John coming in.
Yeah. Man, I swear I thought up another point while we were talking about this. It's crazy how good some of the people are at this game already.
They're very good. I've seen people with upwards of 1,000 kills already.
Yeah.
It's pretty nuts, but
nuts.
And it's not getting too crazy yet where you can't jump in and have fun. So.
Yeah, no, I saw there was somebody just standing in the corner of a building trying to shoot me one time. I went in there. I was like, I'm not moving. Like, I felt like I had just murdered a child after I killed him because he just wasn't doing anything. His friend had died outside, and he was just standing in the corner of a room with a shotgun trying to kill me. Felt real bad about that one.
But, yeah, so let us know your thoughts on all this stuff. We'll be back next week with a cool new episode. Dan will be back from out of town. Which we didn't actually announce at the beginning. Dan just wasn't here. We never acknowledged the fact that he wasn't here.
He's just been quiet the whole time.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm Dan.
I'm Dan.
Hey.
That's
PUBG.
not Dan. I'm the real Dan. That's an imposter.
We need Dan the imposter back.
All right. So maybe make that hotline bling.
Beep, 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 boop, beep, boom, beep, beep. Boom beep. It's the Wii Shop music.
It's a good one. No, I like that. No, that was solid.
You have no new messages. Get a better community.